30 years in the making.
To go back to where it all began.
Dude, I'm so ready to go back to the 80s.
This is gonna be epic.
In the age of the Rubik's Cube, Seafax and the Commodore 64, King's Church began in Old Town in a house with just 18 people. On the 4th of September 1988, we had our first meeting in Russell School.
And I'm totally confident that God is going to build a church in this place.
Serious.
Raw.
Exciting.
Real.
Committed.
Prayerful.
Outward focused.
Very Christ-centred.
On a mission.
And good fun.
I remember like a plinky plonky piano and my dad's kind of strumming the guitar with his dodgy tash. Oh, I thought he was just like a rock star, like Bono or something. And occasionally someone would reach under their chair and have a little tambourine session.
A lady called Beryl Tilly was baptised in the sea, and Don led a few of us to jump off the pier after her.
It was much more pioneering. It had that feeling like it's like the difference between camping and staying in a five-star hotel almost. I think that in the early days, when there were 20, 40, 50 people, it really mattered if you turned up, and it really mattered that if you didn't make a contribution, there weren't that many other people who could.
There was no sitting back and just filling a seat. Everyone had one, if not three jobs to do.
Because the church was so small, we put our absolute all into it. You have to, it's all or nothing.
I'm not sure how many kids there were in the beginning, but I definitely felt very much part of church life, and we were needed to sort of help set everything up, which looking back now was kind of amazing.
One of the things we used to do was go door knocking. And I remember this woman saying, "I've seen your churches come and go, so you won't be around much longer." So I remember going back to Don and saying about this woman, and he said the only way we're leaving is in a coffin.
There were always visitors every Sunday, which was remarkable because we weren't particularly advertising.
The faith that we had, I think, we knew that it was going to take off.
The whole authenticity of it, the clear-cut mission that we were on, attracted people from the outset.
I remember sitting in a prayer meeting in Ocknage School. I remember sitting there and thinking, this is ridiculous. We've got 40,000 in the bank and we're looking to buy a building that's probably going to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands. I remember thinking, this isn't in reality, really, it just isn't.
When we decided to buy this building, it was all based around prayer, seeking God, because it was going to require a great deal of faith and deep pockets.
We had done gift days, I don't know, it was 2, 3 of them before we actually moved in here. The first ones would have been having no idea where we'd go.
You had to go without things. But when you believe this is what God's called you to, you actually want to invest in it. I think every gift day that we've had, I've been amazed. And I kind of think, where on earth does all this money come from?
and it just shows people's hearts.
I don't think I'd be a Christian if it wasn't for the amazing youth work at the time.
Yeah, I remember our youth leaders, they had a much bigger impact on us than I think they realised.
Pamela Oakley was definitely one of those people for me. Like, I remember going to Pamela's house for tea. She invited me around for dinner, and it was brilliant because we just sat, she cooked me a lovely meal, but she just asked me about myself. I remember thinking, this is the first time that I've sat with an adult and they've really just sort of said, what do you want to do when you're older? And, you know, how do you feel about this? And it was so important.
I think that's one of the reasons why so many of us who were there in the early days, we're all still walking with God now.
So I remember my sister saying to me, would you rather go to the Caribbean or go to Stoneleigh? And I remember thinking, that is such a stupid question. Of course I'd rather go to Stoneleigh.
I remember when Ray and Judith had Francesca, and she'd come down to a youth group and it was like, pass the baby. And some of us were like, you know, what do we do with this baby? And it would kind of freak us out. But it was just like being part of another family.
I think that's one of the things I love about church. You know, if you haven't got aunties and uncles around, you haven't got cousins around, you know, that's what church provides. That was always God's plan.
For both our girls, being part of King's was crucial.
Utterly essential.
My son Charlie gave his life to Christ at Ashburnham 2 years ago.
They've been surrounded by really good friends that they've still got, and I think that's really supported them right way through their lives.
I think it's hard for youth nowadays. I think their life is very difficult compared to how we were. And you know, and I went through a rebellious stage when I was a teenager. You know, at the end of the day, I still knew this was home, and I knew that the youth group was somewhere I could be myself, and I was accepted and loved regardless of what I did. And I think that is what I want my own children to feel like.
I think the expression was always the number on the bus hasn't changed.
The number on the bus isn't going to change.
You know, the number on the bus doesn't change. This is the way we're going.